one of the end zones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay.
How did that game go, Robert?
It was like watching a sports game in a skate park.
Oh, I mean.
The cheerleaders performed pretty well.
My road didn't have.
That's what I got.
17.
What did you say?
Which jersey did you wear?
Oh, and hello.
St. Matthews.
Oh,
Playmaker.
that's a good one.
Yeah, it is. I had to go through the class.
She wanted the actual.
I was almost going to send him a text to say, how's your day going?
Give us time, give us next week, hopefully. Or if not next week, the next week.
He did
after that.
Rogers.
You got like, give it a week, 16 plus. Game up. Yeah, whatever that is.
How many is it? Sometimes she just had to say goodbye.
This is you.
It's funny how that number just kind of slips your mind.
Bad. We're here to talk about the analysis of the game on Sunday that started at 3:25 at US Bank Stadium. Robert, would you like to begin?
Even has Super Bowl wins.
Dirty old.
Right of the
Two in
page.
the last 20 years, which is like, which just puts them in the top 10% of the NFL.
You celebrate whatever stats and data you can, you know what I mean? So like that, high five.
Maybe if you want to.
Okay.
All right, well,
This is your year.
that's 12:59, but it's definitely not. It's 1:02. Yeah. We're gonna have to change that clock. That is not right.
Sarah will get on that.
Yeah, I'll get on that. Put it in my notes. All right, so thanks panelists for joining us today, and hopefully we get some more participation, but at least it's recorded and we can have some good conversation. Sometimes the smaller the group, the more open dialogue conversation that can be had, or even masterminding, you know what I mean? Gathering of the minds. So so the first question that I have to start off this back to the basics panel is, are you here to retrieve your food?
That's the first question.
I think our first question is, where's lunch?
Richard wants to work, and I was like, it's fine, no one's going at home.
Just don't do fish, okay? Just.
Yeah, right.
I talked to him. I don't eat fish.
Oh, that's good. Or other stinky things to cook. That would be great. Okay, what have you seen shift in the market in the last 3 to 6 months? What are you noticing? What are you experiencing? What are you feeling? What do you see out there?
I'm seeing inspections, negotiation. So
Oh.
we're getting back to negotiating. And I will say one of the things that I have used a lot, well, in my last 4 transactions is home warranties.
Absolutely.
Because now we are back to people looking at the HVAC system. And so, but it's been a cure-all for whether I've been buy side or sell side. We've thrown it in. And so I would say that's been the biggest thing is is the negotiating is back, which that's the part I love. So, but to get a good home warranty, and I've actually been using Kathy, and both buy and sellers have been great with Kathy Chambers
Which place?
home warranty. What's that?
What home warranty?
American home warranty. Yep.
So, I placed a couple of my own clients, buyers with that, and they both had to make claims and.
Good or not good?
Good.
Not good.
Not good.
Okay, well,
So what happened?
match that.
No, but I
would
mean-
like to know then.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
are you seeing now?
I'm back to, who do we use at Coldwell?
HS.
AHS.
Okay.
So all the warranty companies, we are gonna go all over the place today, okay? So bear with us, write your questions down. But this is the reason why we need to gather and talk. What's working, what are we using, what's helping? All warranties are changing. So warranties used to be, at least in my experience, where it was like, they just took care of it. And now what they're doing is they're giving capped payouts for work being done. And they're not regulating the contractors as much. So it's opening the door to more contractors, but the contractors have to jump through a bunch of hoops. So and I'm not saying that these other warranty companies don't have this, but what I faced with that particular company that we were just talking about was that the seller had to do all the legwork to find contractors. She ended up having to tell them that it wasn't a warranty claim for them to even show up. And then once they showed up, they charged a premium, like a premium to do the work. And then she got like a $200 check, and it was an $1,800 repair.
Wow.
And we're talking like, I think it was like a leaking hot water heater. And she's like, I could have had my friend come over and made the repair. It wouldn't even have cost me the $200. The warranty wouldn't have covered it, but I was out $1,600 instead of, because I went through the warranty thinking that that was a better option. So I think what we need to do is probably universal better analysis on, maybe we have a bigger discussion about this. I don't know, but yeah. But with AHS, I've heard the same thing, that they're starting to, they're capping stuff. And we used to get that whole like idea that they were just gonna replace the furnace, but it was at wholesale cost and the labor was always covered. And there was like all these like benefits to the warranty. And now they're saying like, we will give you this $800 or $1,500 and that's it. And then there's a lot more stuff going on the sellers. I've used warranties continuously throughout my business. So I believe in them and I feel like they're a great. What's that?
You have to run a 6-minute mile to qualify. No, oh, I'm not even in the frame. Hi, guys.
Hey, and Alexis, I've used AHS very consistently. They have always done just a fantastic job, in my opinion. So that's my go-to.
And in my previous experience, I have felt the same. I was trying to spread the love and try some other things. And, so I don't know. I think we need like the last 6 months of claims perspective to really understand how the warranties are working. The other thing I got from Kathy herself was that that was a pre-existing condition. And I was like, I'm not going to use your company anymore because I don't want to talk
That's
about
kind of why.
My clients have got their warranties through the utility company seem to be doing quite well.
Yes, that's actually who I have on my property. So
That's what I have negotiated for my clients, is actually saying I'd rather have, instead of you paying $700, give them $700 towards closing. And
$700 in closing costs.
and then I say pay for 2 years up front with your utility company.
There you go.
And that has been a much better avenue, I think, for people in the last couple of years. And I have not had good experiences with warranty companies because it's a $99 trip charge or $199, or it's a pre-existing. And so I said, okay, let's think outside the box. And so I said, instead of you offering warranty of $700, it's not going to do anything. Can we have that $700, what they're going to pay towards their utility company to pay for it that way? And people are very open to the conversation about it, and it's just flipping how you're still putting coverage for your clients.
I'd be curious to know how the utility companies, because like what happens with the warranties is the title company can pay them directly and the warranty gets placed automatically. And so when you give them, it's also in the form of closing costs, the warranty. So it is encompassed in that realm as far as being capped. But if the sellers or if the buyers are receiving a cash amount, how does it go to the, I feel like it could be the same. It was always it was my way of, it was really easy of like saying like, just call this number. And it was but I have found myself going through the utility companies has been my preference as well.
So
So
we put that in a PA then? I mean,
you can
I'm
put
just
whatever you want in
thinking-
the PA,
I'm
totally.
just thinking, and then you state it, in lieu of home warranty, seller is getting X
Well, you could
amount. Well, that way they can say, if somebody comes back to you at some point and they say, well, we would have given it, or something isn't working, the buyer saying something's not working, we said, well, we gave you this amount of your utility, instead of, oh, it's just out there $700, right?
So when I'm
Whatever
writing
numbers.
in my buyer offers, because I am kind of vacillating on the warranty companies, I always write the amount. And then I say that the buyer's gonna pick it and it's to be determined. At least so that I know I have the $700 coming at closing. And then there can be however it's directed. But you could also do like Service Plus or bond fees or any other one that you want. You could actually write that in, even though it's not technically a warranty company or plan. You could basically write in whatever you wanted. But that is the benefit of those utility company warranties is there isn't a call fee.
Just as a closing cost credit, is that what you're talking about?
Essentially, essentially. But I'm wondering if we couldn't make some traction with like CenterPoint or something like that to be like, can we prepay a year on these houses these clients are buying? Like, and would you credit it? Just in a way for us to be more proactive for our clients. You know what I mean? For our buyer clients. Because like I pay monthly on my utility bill, but do you think they would say no if I wanted to send them $700? I don't think they would. But I don't know if they have it set up in their accounting system to do it that way, right? So, I mean, my warranty, my CenterPoint warranty is only as good as the month I pay for it. And if I stop paying for it, it's no longer good. There's also multiple levels of the plan where there's like repair, home maintenance, and then replacement. So there's 3 levels and it ends up being about $100 a month if you do like all of them, but they all like honestly, it's so good because it's if you want to give your clients a gift, here's another idea, like a closing gift, give them the maintenance plan. If they get the CenterPoint Energy as a utility provider, a maintenance plan where they come out and they clean the ducts in the fall, they do an AC tune-up in the spring, and they clean the furnace and the ducts in the fall. You have to be proactive and call, but like talk about a great way to give something to your client. Sorry, I know we're going all over the place, but I mean, this is hopefully feeling value that we can all use and utilize in our business.
Oh, someone, Amy's raising their hand.
Amy? Yes.
Yeah, I just want to back you up on that because I was a single mom with 2 kids and I got my furnace and my dryer fixed so many times for free.
Right.
And I also had the main drain on there. I never had an issue with it, but for anybody who's kind of worried maybe about the main drain of the place that they're buying, get on that right away. So
Yeah, absolutely. The thing I've had done, I had a relatively new refrigerator and the freezer started freezing up and it created like a whole big line of ice on the back side of it. I mean, I didn't know how to fix it. And because I had that program, me personally, like I was able to call them, they came and took care of it. And they were like, I bet you probably, if you hadn't taken care of this, you would have had to replace your whole fridge. So it saved me, it was just it was a simple repair, but I just had someone to call. So that was a huge save. Yeah. All right. What else are we seeing as something that has shifted in the market?
Not as many showing.
True.
Like you're like.
Actually showing them this fantastic listing, right?
Both as a listing agent and with buyers, right? Are there still, how about buyers in the market? Are you guys seeing buyers in the market? Is there buyers?
I've been heavily list side and just had 2 buyers in the last 2 weeks. So I was like, oh. And then a third one will come out. So our third one is coming on too. So I would say mine is actually shifting to the buy side where it's been heavily list side.
Previously.
3 months. Yeah.
I did. Buyers are getting pickier.
Buyers are getting pickier, aren't they?
Go on an analysis or the.
Showing time?
Not showing time, but the other one where you get the analysis and stuff. Anyway, there were a year ago in July in the certain area of Rosemount that my listing is, there were 35 showings per listing. In July of last year, in March, there were 21. This July, they were 6 on average.
Powerful information to have. You know why that's so powerful? It's a pricing conversation.
Exactly.
I call this ARP, absorption rate pricing. So when you're talking about the range for pricing, and then you talk about there's on average 6 showing.
Info Spark.
There, you can also pull that data through showing time.
Oh.
And postmarks might be faster, but absorption rate pricing is where you look at the range, and if the range of the competing homes is 300 to 340, your goal is to get under the lowest price so that you are the most attractive. And it's a hard conversation, obviously, for sellers these days, but that's a data point that's very, very helpful, for sure. Shelley, what are you seeing?
I'm definitely seeing a lot less. When we look at the market from the leadership side, our numbers are going back to like 2016. So we're not seeing as many listings from August to August in buyers, contracts written. And so it's definitely a decrease over the last year, but we're going back to numbers to 2016 is what our leadership call had yesterday.
So what's shifted is inventory is up. Inventory is up, time on the market's up. What I'm seeing is buyers are actually getting treated like human beings again. And if you're going to have buyers, this is actually a great time to do it over the last 3 years. And sellers actually have to be reasonable now. So they can't be the demanding, unflexible people that they have been over the last 2 or 3 years. So
I have found it interesting that the sellers that I've communicated with, they still think that they are the outlier that is going to get this special price and all the terms that they want. I'm like, what?
yeah, and
I'm
everybody,
going to you to make you so special.
everybody in their world's above average, right?
Right. Their house is and
Everything. Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. Definitely an opportunity to reach out to buyers that have pulled out of the market in the last couple of years and reconnect with them. So if you're ever wondering who to call or why would you call them, you call people that you were talking to about buying that was like scared by whatever factor, right?
Yeah, in exchange for higher interest rates, you get to be treated like a person.
You get to have me negotiate on your behalf.
Yeah, negotiation and it's not necessarily a higher interest rate if they weren't in the market. If they weren't in the market, they're not losing out.
Right.
They're just entering the market at a favorable time to purchase, negotiate, and look out for their best interests at a payment they can afford, because they can only qualify for a payment that they can afford,
That's
right? So if we come from the perspective of interest rates have jumped up, we're doing ourselves a disservice.
Absolutely.
Because we're only comparing, we're talking to new clients about old data. Talk to your new clients about current data only, right?
And even like what they mentioned today, there's opportunity for buyers to get buyers credit from lenders now. I mean, that's huge opportunity for new buyers who are coming in off the rental game to be able to have that. So we need to express that part.
And here's the thing, they're not always just gonna be locked into that specific rate, right? And so, you know.
the house, date the rate.
Yeah.
I've even read a projection that by January, February next year, or spring, I should say, spring of next year, they're anticipating rates to come back down, level out. So get in now where prices are favorable, and it'd be a great opportunity to refinance. Because if it's at 6 now and it goes to 4, no brainer.
Right.
It's a short-term payment plan for a higher rate to get into the house at a great price.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So on listings then, are you waiting a little longer to do price adjustments? Because if we're going back to a normal market, does that mean are you still saying, okay, you know, especially high-end homes, say you got a $600,000 home, that typically, I guess, I don't know, I'm 3 years into this, right? So say you go to 2016, would a $600,000 house wouldn't turn in 2 weeks generally, or 3 weeks, right? So do you try to plan that like it was 2016? You know, maybe that's a 30-day sale or 45-day sale. Or are you going, hey, it's been 2 weeks, let's drop. You know, are you willing to hang in there on a price for a little while?
I'll go back to what Alexis said about absorption rate pricing that exists at every strata of our economy.
And if you're not having showings, you have to have it at a price where you're going to actually have people walk through the door, otherwise nobody's going to buy the property.
I think like Rob said in another meeting, it's not gonna be your 5,000, your 3,000 drops. You're gonna have to talk,
10 to
20
25.
to 25 to get in front of new eyes. And I think by having that conversation with my listings the last 2 months, it's been having that conversation at the get-go. Like saying, you know what, for one thing, we need to be, like you said, with everything else priced out there, we need to be a little bit under them and we need to show better than them. So we are going to do the staging, we are going to do this. And then if we're not getting those showings in the 7 to 10 days, we're going to have a conversation again and find out. But I think the big thing is motivation. How quickly do they need to move? Are they willing to sit there for 14 to 20 days? Because that's what it may take. And then do our 20,000 drop because yeah, we haven't had anything. So, but I think the big thing is upfront, they knew where I was coming from and why we were pricing the way it was. Well, my husband, when I priced one, he's like, what in the world? You're giving it away. I said, no, it's going to end up where we end up. But they needed to sell within 7 days or be under contract within 7 days. So I said, the market's going to price it where it's at and we'll get, so we got over, but.
And did you get multiples on those?
Yes.
Because see, when you look at that and you price it right, multiple offers are still happening,
Oh, yeah.
But it is the pricing strategy.
Well, I think then you also gain credibility with your seller because you've told them, we're going to price it this way. More than likely, we're going to sell for more. But the amount of traffic we had through there, I mean, they saw we had probably 20 showings and then another 20 people through open house. So then it verifies to them, okay, we got the best price we possibly could. And in a short time.
When I think about pricing right now in this market, I think about going back to data for 2019. So if I'm going to do an analysis, I'm going to do a now analysis and I'm going to do 2019 analysis because everything changed in 2020. And to me, none of that data is really all that relevant. So I'm going to go back to 2019 and do an analysis of what was the market like in 2019. Just to have an FYI to see, I am trying to keep up with what's actually happening. And I'm going to educate my sellers on the 2019 pricing and say that 2020 and 2021 have been complete outliers to our market. And then secondarily, I'm also using the NAR piece of information that we work in either 2-week segments or month segments, but they start with 2 weeks, which is if you're on the market 2 weeks and you don't have 10 showings, you're at the wrong price. And if you've had 10 showings and you don't have an offer, you're at the wrong price. And so I bring that up in a listing presentation. I also reiterate it every opportunity. They say things to me like, what's your marketing? Where's our showings? So I bring that back up. So they just keep hearing me over and over again. And I look at the conversation has to happen every 2 weeks and a price adjustment has to happen every 30 days. And my marketing plan right now is a 90-day marketing plan because I'm not expecting anything to sell in 2 weeks. I feel like the market shifted from a 2-week marketing plan to a 90-day marketing plan. So. Good. All right. Next question. How is your business performing currently? How do you feel about it? Just to give everyone else listening and paying attention some perspective on how we're all doing.
So I didn't want to be the first one to talk again, but I mean, I will say, like, when everybody kept saying shift, I'm like, I'm not seeing it yet. I'm not seeing it yet. I'm not seeing it. So, I mean, I've had my best 7 weeks and I did a lot with foreclosure. So even the amount that I've listed in the last 7 weeks has been comparable to when I was in foreclosure role. So it's increased. Now, when I look past mid-October, I'm like, oh, okay, we don't have those. So, but it's not a deterrent to me. It motivates me. Saying, you know what, I want to keep a 2 closings a week going. So, yeah, it's been great this summer. I haven't seen it gone down yet, but I know I need to keep doing the work.
Yeah, so I'm kind of with you. Like the last couple of months have been just extremely solid and consistent with my listings and my buy side. Now my buy side is coming out a little bit stronger again. I started out the year with having 3 of my sellers decide that they were not going to sell, not going to list for various reasons. And then I had a listing that was on the market where I sold about 4 buyers to the client and they weren't gonna negotiate with them, right? Because they still have this mindset thing, right, going on. And so I ended up just canceling that listing, right? So that's 4, right? And that kind of started off my year and I was just like, right? And so I was like, what the heck? And so then, you know, you just kind of switch your mindset a little bit. And so I'm working on my pipeline for November, December. Strongly, actually, you know. Because it's just like yours, it's kind of like, okay, I've got onesies and twosies here, so I need to really fill that.
Robert, I know you're gonna have to step out soon, so you want to answer? Oh, you don't?
I'm here for you guys with
Oh,
it.
that's awesome.
Well, yay, thank you, appreciate it.
Shelley, you want to answer?
Stepping into leadership, I think my role at agent to leadership has shifted a little bit. And so my business has obviously shifted because my focus is now being a part of Keller Williams on the leadership team and helping all of you agents and to bring on new agents and to support them. So my business has still stayed at this steady pace. Now that I have not been putting in lead gen time and time into that, I am now seeing the decrease in it. So agents, if you are not putting the time in there, you're going to see that dip really quick. And we have things in the office and why we're here today to talk to you about how to get all of that to the next level. Yeah. So.
My business is good. I consider it stable. Heading into fall and winter, I find that my archetype, my type of client changes. It tends to be one-off buyers, which I don't usually get. Investor clients, and a lot of my larger sales actually occur in the winter. It's a very funky time because I think that there's like a 1 to 2% overall decrease. Like if you look at InfoSparks and you see the pricing throughout the year, it goes up and down within the year, like the pricing, and it's lowest in the winter when there's the fewest buyers out there, and people want to take advantage of that. But that's all I have to say about that.
So what do you guys do to keep your business going? What are the activities that you do to keep your business going and continuing? Or what would you attribute your current business that you're managing? What activities do you attribute to keeping your business? You want to go first?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
go ahead.
so. Yeah. Mega Camp, this just made so much sense. They talked about for the last couple of years, we've been transactional and now we have to be relational. We were order takers for the last couple of years, and now we actually have to be in relationship with our people. So I'm looking back at the names of clients over the last 2 years. I hate to admit this, but I had to look up and see who a few of them actually were.
Oh, I feel that. I know.
No, you were, who were you? You were, oh yeah, you're the one with the cat. So reconnecting with my database is probably the #1 thing that I'm doing right now in my business.
You're doing what with your database?
Reconnecting with them, like sending them videos, making phone calls. I make 25 contacts a day, and many of those are from my database.
Calls?
Yeah.
You make 25 calls a day?
Yeah, contacts.
25 contacts.
Contacts. Yeah.
So that can come in the form of a phone, a text, social media message.
Yeah, it works out really, really well. And there's one of the things I do once a month is I make a really dumb GIF image of myself doing something dumb, and I send it to like 200 people, and then they all respond with haha, we start a little conversation. And that's actually been really productive for me.
And that came from, I'm assuming, the
Jason Abrams
idea that
he's kind of smart.
he is super brilliant. And we watched him last spring,
I'm still doing it.
late spring, something like that. A ton of ideas came out of that. That was great that you took that away and are seeing. Did you reach out to him and tell him about that?
Nope.
You totally should. You should send him a couple of your memes or GIFs or whatever you create. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think you should, because I think it's, that works for you and that's awesome. And because that fits your personality and it works. And but what's really interesting about it, I want you guys all to think about this. So after you watched that hour and a half session, he went and created a GIF, which is a moving photo, right? With like words or something underneath. And randomly sent it to
Everyone that would receive it. Yeah,
Yeah, anyone that, so did you do it through Instagram or Facebook or both?
I did it through text.
Through text, okay.
It's way weirder. And then also.
It is way weirder. When you think about it, can you imagine opening your text from your realtor and a random gift where it's him pointing at you,
Yeah,
right?
That's pretty much it.
And what's interesting about it is, and that's what came from the session that we watched, was it's not about being, it's about being intentional, but it's not about like being polished or perfect or having a specific message or asking for something in return. It's just about being goofy and personable. And
It starts a great conversation, and I've done it now since then. And every month I get at least a listing appointment from that.
Do you really?
Yep.
Wow, that's cool.
And it could, because they'll like, haha, that's funny. I was like, yeah, your house is worth, and I'll put a dollar sign and start typing numbers. It was like quadrillions. And it was like, just said it and they laughed and they're like, no, really, how much?
it's a conversation starter. It's like an icebreaker.
My husband does that when he sells things on Marketplace. People ask him to sell things for them because people are fascinated with, I mean, they're really hysterical, but they attract attention.
I was having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I think
If
it's,
you're not having a good time, don't do it.
I think it's awesome. I think what I'm trying to dial or drill down into is, and I say this with love, but get out of your own way. Like literally get out of your own way. Stop overthinking what you're doing and making it perfect or intentional or amazing or specific to the message or the image or the blah, 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 blah. Like just get out of your own way. Like I started shooting videos on my social media. And I mean, if I really like hate myself that day, I'll put a filter on, and then apologize for it, of course, because filters are taboo or just horrible. Anyways, but the point is just start doing it. It's not about, it's amazing the amount of positive feedback I've received from just posting videos and, like you're just sending a picture. It's so silly because it's not even people necessarily that you've talked to recently. You're just sending a picture and they're responding. Right? Like we see our world from our own perspective, but it's not always how everyone else sees it. So we get a silly video or a picture, moving picture, and it creates a reaction. So just find something that and kudos to you to continue it monthly and continue the conversation.
Yeah, it's weird.
And that's okay. That's what you gotta do.
So it's really great.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah.
It's a feature, not a bug.
All right. What else are you guys doing?
Yeah. On the leadership side, I am wanting you all to know we have accountability groups that are going to be starting here in the next couple of weeks. We have the leads program. We have Power Hour. Power Hour is new. We're going to be doing dials together. Come dial with us on Zoom or in person. We're going to do a script practicing and then you guys will be dialing. And I think it's a great way to hold yourself accountable. And then we have Bold coming up. So all good things that, taking things back to the basics and getting to the next level. I don't do, what are they, gifts?
Yep.
Okay, I do videos. I'm went out of my own way when I'm connecting with agents who might not be in this office or people who want to be in real estate school and I get their voicemail. I'm now sending them a video. Hey, I am so-and-so. I just wanted to put a number and a name together. And I'm getting more response than if I would have left a voicemail. And so I had to get out of my own way because nope, don't want to. And then I was challenged to, on social media, do 30 videos for 30 days of something, pick a topic. So I want to better myself. So I'm doing what I'm doing for a workout every single day. If it's a walk, if it's a club, if it's here, and I'm trying different things, trying to get people to interact with me on social media so that they know what's going on.
And I just want to echo some of the things she was talking about initially about accountability groups and dialing together. If you guys, anyone on the screen in person, if you're feeling like you're lagging, if you're feeling like you're having lack of motivation, if you're feeling like your self-starting abilities are broken, join these groups, show up for Power Hour, show up to do these things together because it's I've been doing a lot of studying of ADHD, which is a dopamine deficit issue. And one of my things as having a dopamine deficit issue is that I need a body double, whether it's in person or it's on the phone or on Zoom. When I am when I have someone in my space or someone in my ear or someone like on a video, I am more productive. It actually is a dopamine release mechanism that, so when you have these accountability groups, when you have somewhere to be, when you have an appointment set up that you have to be somewhere, you will produce more results and more activities, therefore more results. So a lot of agents actually do suffer from a dopamine deficit issue, ADHD. It's not about attention deficit. It's not about hyperactivity. It's a dopamine issue, which means you don't get a dopamine dump that motivates you to do stuff. And so when you are an individual agent and you aren't around someone all the time to talk about strategize, like how to get back into business, back to basics, those are great opportunities for you to dial in, show up, participate, and feel like you're part of something. And therefore that's going to get more activity and you're going to put more money in your bank account. What are you doing?
So I started to do a call night with our team. And so on Monday nights, just to get a different kind of time frame, right, for calling folks, right? So if we're in doing our calls, lead genning on during the morning hours, I just decided to switch it up a little bit and give people, so many times everybody's like, I'm getting voicemail. So I was like, well, let's try Monday night. So we've been very consistent on doing Monday night call nights. So I just open that up too, if anybody wants to join in on that. I mean, it's just an opportunity to learn how people can, deal with objections or, celebrate wins, right? And we've had a lot of success with that. But I think another thing is, working the systems, right? Really embracing the system for me has always been kind of a challenge because I'm like, I don't want to sit down on this. I don't want to spend time here, right? The systems really do work for you. And lastly, I think it's follow-up, right? So I used to always, I'm a big note taker, and so I would, like, write something in my notes and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to call this person, right? So now I just put it in the system. It reminds me that I need to call somebody. So my follow-up is getting a lot better.
That's
I
awesome.
think that's huge.
That's good.
Mine has been old school, back to the just sold and the open house cards. I have my little niche that I've gotten has basically been door knocking with, because I am not a door knocker, but if I have a purpose, I can do it. And so my little group, anytime I've sold one, I started out selling one like a year and a half ago and did open house cards. And I will say, by knocking on their door, handing them an open house card, then I've gotten to know that little community. So I definitely, and now we
Inviting
can
them
do
to the open house?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Now we can do open houses again because they're not selling as quickly. But then the just solds. So, and this is when I was talking with Jen. I was like, okay, I have like 4 of them. Do I do all just solds? And she's like, your honey pot, go back to your honey pot, which that's where I have like the 6th listing in the year and a half. It's like concentrate on those people. So I would say, when you have a listing, concentrate in that market totally, and you will start getting more. For one thing, now people know me as the agent. And so I was able to beat out another agent because she was like, well, you know about our community. You can talk about our community. You know the facts about our homeowners association. So I think finding that niche, and it all came because I love to give things away. And so sometimes too much, but it all came because I sent a winter survival kit out to some of my main clients last year, a year ago, would have been actually 2 years ago. That spring is when I got the first one. And now we're working on the 6th one, and we'll probably have 7th and 8th in the next couple months. So just little things like that, and find, like Robert likes the gifts. I love to give little things, find out what.
Winter survival kit, like a
So I
bottle
did-
of liquor or something.
Well, that would be your winter survival kit. Mine was a little chapstick. Nice.
Thank you.
So, yeah, no, mine didn't have liquor and a little chapstick. I think I had one of those squeezy houses that said Wendy Woodbury Homes and had my number on it or something like that, but a couple things like that. So, and then I actually like dropped them off. So again, it's going out and
Face to face.
seeing your clients. So a face-to-face thing. And Yeah, probably the scariest thing I'm going to do is hire an assistant in 3 weeks. So scary to me in that now is the time where you're like supposed to be cutting back, but I also know for me, it's pushing me to keep going with my lead gen and justify of having an assistant. But also,
You're not cutting back, like you're investing in your
Yeah, you
business.
are.
yeah, and that's what I think, because it will actually force me to look for more business, because I want her to build, she will be an agent also. I want her to build her business, me to build my business. So it's gonna be a win-win. But, so yeah, so that's why I'm taking a leap of faith and getting an assistant. So my files will be in 2 weeks when they're supposed to be in. She will be doing that.
I saw the face that you made when I said that too. You're like 15 days, wow.
I was going to say, or what? Let's see what I got.
I do have an answer.
You know what? I
Talk
figured,
about that offline.
my stuff's good.
I'm glad you didn't ask that question.
I never hear from you, and I'm really surprised by that.
Well, good, congratulations.
It's building.
One thing I want to touch on that you brought up in the team meeting as your aha for Mega Camp is the 411. Now, is everyone familiar with the 411? Are y'all familiar? Okay, I'm gonna, can you throw me a marker? Behind you.
If you're
Can
an
you adjust the
accountability
camera?
group, we will be doing 411.
411.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, okay, 411. So I just want to do this example because I think it's really important.
4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year.
Yes. So can you see, can I have a different marker?
Yes. Go and grab one here.
Here's the blue, yeah. All right. 411. A little better. Okay, so we go year, month, and we go week. Okay, so
I go day.
1 year, 1 month, 4 weeks. That's what that stands for. And you have 12 411s, 12 months, right? So you have 12 of these, and it starts with, it goes year. So what are your big goals? Okay. Big goals for your year. And then you go month. And what are you trying to accomplish this month?
Like 1/12 of your yearly.
Yep. And it might also be things like travel. Yes, and it might be like a volume count by a certain time. So you're tracking as you go along, and then you go down into weeks. And it goes like this. So you have week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. And you can break that down more to say in week 1, what are you going to accomplish? So this would be to make what happens in the month, you have to do these activities in this month, and you have to accomplish what happens in the month to ultimately reach your goals in the year. Okay. So, and you can break this down however you want, but basically what you're always working on is 1/12. So 1 page is 1 month, and you're focusing on 1 week at a time. And then the activities that are happening 1 week at a time. And if you want to go to your level, you're breaking it down on a daily basis. What are you doing so that ultimately at the end of the year, you reach all your goals? So that's 1 year, 1 month, 4 weeks, 411. Okay, so for those of you that aren't familiar with that, that is a opportunity for you to track your activities and stay on task. And if you don't have an accountability group or a coach, 411s are fine on your own. They're better in either with an accountability group or a coach.
We also add personal pieces to ours, right? So that work-life balance piece, right? So when we talk about work all the time, you know, and it's just focused on that, but there are personal goals too that you want to accomplish over the year. And so we just use that as another side, right? So we just add what's our
Yeah.
personal side and our business side. And then a lot of them, you know, just kind of aligns.
The bold planner has that's a great
Yeah.
breakdown for the 411 is all laid out in a
Yep.
page before every month, and that's a nice setup.
One deal like this was a conversation at Mega Camp where Sajay Patel was one of the big MAPS coaches, was asked on stage, how do top producers protect their time? And he said, they have a 411 and they give it to their assistant and their assistant protects their time. And the interviewer says, well, what if you don't have an assistant? And he goes, well, you're not a top performer. Like, oh.
That was like everything I got.
Pick last and Jim.
I knew that was coming. I said that.
Yeah, so you have that person. That's be fantastic. Yeah.
It's all about whether it's your assistant or it's you to protect your time. It's about dialing in on what are your top priorities? And are you spending your time on your top priorities, or are you getting distracted with things that don't make the cut? And when you do a 411, it never should just be business, because it literally should be 12 pieces of paper laid out, and you plan your vacations, you put all your personal stuff in first. So if you've got a vacation in February, in April, in September and November, those go on my 411 first.
Just like you did 1/12 on there. If you did 1/10 of your goal each month, you're assuming you're taking 2 months off.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And you can structure the 411 in any way that you want, so that all of your goals, personal and professional, get put on your list of priorities. But ultimately, it's about honing in on your priorities. And then the next level of goal planning is taking the 411 and then going to time blocking. And your time blocking, that's really where you're at, Robert, is having taken the week, you take week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and you put in time blocking in those days of those weeks, what you're doing and when. And then you can very quickly analyze how you're not spending your time well, or you're spending your time very well, right? Because we're all in this business victims of the distraction, right? What can possibly distract us? What fire can we go put out? What can we do instead of doing the activities we're supposed to be doing, right?
I'm amazed to this day that I have call hesitancy because my 411 on the day says 25 contacts. And I look at that number sometimes and I'm like, I don't want to, I'm gonna use bad language on this, but I don't want to do that. And everything I want is on the other side of that number. And I know if I make those, everybody I call, they actually want to hear from me. We have great conversations. And I always leave that 25 contacts with an appointment. Everything I want, the good feelings, everything is on the other side, and yet I still have call hesitancy. I look at that number like, oh, they don't want to, I'm just going to annoy them. They don't want to hear from me. They always do. And I have to think anybody in your database wants to hear from you too, but yeah, I call hesitancy is a very real thing for me.
And that's why I was trying to, when you were talking about the gifts or anything else that you're doing, pop buys, you're creating something that decreases your hesitancy, or you've created something that decreases your hesitancy. So it's really for all of us to realize we just need to create something so that we get over the hesitancy to reach out to our people, and doing something in a way that makes sense for you, right? Like door knocking for open house invitations. You're inviting them to something. You're not asking for anything. You're not selling anything. You're just inviting them. You're creating relationships, right? And the heart of getting back to basics is creating and nurturing relationships. What marketing activity are you doing now that maybe you weren't doing 6 months to a year ago?
I have 3 that I've written down. I think probably the biggest thing that helped me price this past month and a half was reading the shift book. So if you haven't read that, I highly, highly recommend it. It's got a lot of just good information in there. The other thing, which I would have never done when I was at the previous company, I was telling Jeff I'm doing tomorrow morning, is one of the agents that I now have a deal with. We were just talking, and she's like a top agent, like she does 50 to 60 sales on her own. So I'm like, okay, just give me some of your filing system and tell me how you're keeping everything. So I would have never thought, well, no, I just talk to people in my office. I don't like brainstorm with other agents, but she was more than open to talk to me. And so that's something I'm going to do tomorrow. And then also this fall, because I know I still need to lead gen, I know I still need to get business going, but I have a real passion of getting my first investment property. And so oh, there's a little hummingbird. Good to see Rob.
I got distracted.
Yeah.
distracted.
Well, but really building my passive income. And so that is, you see something red, it's like, oh. So.
Squirrels. I mean, how many?
So I'm really focusing on passive income too, because I'm seeing, since I've gotten a couple checks, it's like, oh, I really didn't have to do anything for that. And the more people I talk to, like, have a lot more in the pipeline, it's like, you do realize you're helping them out. Like, why wouldn't you be a Keller? So, yeah, that's just kind of some of the things I'm doing. So, yeah, reshift.
So Wendy, what you're saying is just your change in environment, your market change has really increased your business.
It really has. And I think I was telling somebody, because at the wedding I was at on Saturday, she's with Century 21 in Iowa. And I was like, oh, and I probably shouldn't have, like, oh, one of the old ones. And so then we got to talking, and I wasn't trying to get her to come to Keller, but I can say honestly, my whole mental shift from, okay, I'm going to go sell a house today. And when I'm done selling homes, then I hope I've saved up enough for the rest of my life. But now it's more, okay, I'm thinking passive income. I'm just more willing to talk to, I think I have more confidence because of all the information that we get here and that we have at our hands, and or the other agents that we can talk to and gain that information. So I think that's a huge difference that I have seen where, yeah, I will go into and be able to battle another agent and feel like I can't come out on top. Whereas before I was like, oh, I hope they pick me. But yeah, I think it's a whole mindset of just knowing that you're in the right place.
That was awesome.
Sorry.
That was really good. So a couple of things that we're doing differently today and than we were a year ago. So I'm getting back to some of the basics as far as like circle prospecting goes. And quite frankly, I love that. And I just, it's been something that I've done over the last year, right? Just didn't have the opportunity necessarily. And so it just gives me, like, I love going and talking to people, and I like to do door knocking too. And so to have this open up for me and going and doing the circle prospecting, I like to go and just share with them, hey, we just listed, hey, we just sold, hey, who do you know, right? And I also have been very well known for doing business all over the state of Minnesota. So I'm working to hone in differently and do more of a local vegan kind of Apple Valley type area, right? To make more sense in my business, do it smarter, not harder. And so then what else have I done? Circle project. Oh, and then client events too. So we're working really diligently on upping that and having our pie days at different locations and things like that, but really doing things differently that way, because my sphere is very important to me, and it's really where I get most of my business from. So
Love it on your sphere.
I will just tag on to that. If anybody wants to do like a November or December client event, like go together with other agents, I would love to do something like that, because I think that, would just help all of us. So
that's a great idea.
Contact me and we'll figure out something for either
Collaborative.
Yep, November, December. So I'll throw that out.
That's
there.
awesome.
Is so good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'll let you go.
Marketing, mostly for me, I think 90% of it's 33 touch to my database. That I'm constantly reaching out and engaging with them. That's the bulk of my marketing. It's not much more fun than that.
But you know what, though, at the heart of it, the components of this business to be successful are extremely simple. It just is not always easy.
Right.
So they're basic fundamental concepts that we implement in different ways, and the 33 touch is so simple.
So
But
simple.
So simple, just the concept of it. And anytime there's a class on it, anytime, go watch a YouTube video. I'm sure there's YouTube videos, there's stuff on command. Just check it out, because if your database is not on a 33 touch, you are missing opportunities for your own business. And all it is 33 touch is a fancy way of saying loving on your database.
Yeah,
It's just loving on your database.
one mailing, one email a month, that's 24 touches.
Yep.
Call them quarterly, send them a card after you talk to them, that's 32. You get one more, just be fancy.
You could literally like send a text reminding them of a daylight savings time, and that's 33. Like, there's just so many easy ways of doing it. And when you do 12 a month, you know, 12, that's 24, you could do 3 things a month and you have 36, you know.
That's
so-
if you want to be an overachiever.
Yeah.
Don't do that. It's too much.
Did you?
I will say cards are one thing. I had started that probably 6 months ago. The last month and a half, I've kind of gotten away from, but committing to that again and just doing like 5 handwritten cards a day to people. And I will say when I first started that, people were just like, that's so great. Thank you so much.
It's one of my favorite things.
So
I do that first because it always gets me in the right mindset
Yeah.
for the day.
Anything else you guys want to touch on with mindset? Because that was pretty much my last question. Either what have you done to change your mindset, or what do you project will happen over the next 6 months? You can answer either one. The crystal ball that every client thinks we have.
yeah, I think relationships with agents are becoming more key too. Like I never thought about that as much before I came to Keller. But I think, I mean, I'll admit, if I have 2 buyers that we're looking at and I know one agent and I've worked with them and I trust them. Not that I mean, I'm going to put a good word in for them. So I think that's what I'm realizing too. And that could only help, you know, maybe when they do get unsatisfied with their current broker. You have that relationship, you can bring them over. So I think I've actually started calling the agents more. I admit I was, when you'd send the offer, I would just send the email, but now I will call them and find out more. So I think that's more my mindset and goal too, of reaching out to other agents. and building that.
Well, I don't focus on the negative part of, like everybody's talking about the ship, right? I'm like, well, there's an opportunity here. It's an opportunity for each and every one of us. And, every day I'm making a point of just getting up and saying, I'm grateful for something. I write cards in the morning, and it just gets you into that mindset where, and I think Robert even touched on it, it's like, I used to feel like, well, I'm going to call this person and they're going to, throw me to voicemail, right? All of those lies that are putting in my head about how people perceive or receive my calls or my texts or whatever it might be. I'm just like, there is a shift, but this is a great opportunity. And this is where I can start to learn how to do things differently and better than what I was last year. And if I can make if I can be better, if I can be 1% better today than I was yesterday, I'm winning, And I think that really, and just the support around this market center, picking up the phone and being able to call you where I figured I had the answer, but I was like, I just need to ask, right? And she answers the phone, right? Or you talk in the office, right before you're walking out the door. And we talk about different things that are going on. I mean, the support here is amazing. And I think that's also what helps with our mindset.
Yeah. I would say mindset is huge. Affirmations, put your goals out there, have a vision board, do the 411s, and reach out, because we're all here. Keller Williams is one amazing company, but this office is even better. And we have the love and the support within so many agents. And half the time we don't even know how powerful that can be until you don't have that. And really, I think that because we're all here and those in person and on Zoom for so many of our trainings, we are the agents that are still going to be here in 6 months to a year. There's a lot of agents and loan officers who jumped in who will not be here. And I bless them and wish them well. True story.
The question was how do you stay motivated? And I really love the fact of, I loved how I felt coming back from Mega Camp. And I was thinking, how do you preserve that? And it's really when you're in community with high performers, you're in community with people who are doing amazing things, because that's what Mega Camp is. I find that through KW Connect. So my rule is I check out KW Connect for 10 or 15 minutes on the days that I shower, because you need.
We all know what days are.
The point is, you need motivation continually. Taking a shower once a year and going to Mega Camp doesn't work. I tried it. You just get people off. But every day that I shower, I'll look at KW Connect. That is every day. But it does keep me, like, you're in the virtual community with really high performers and people who are inspiring, who I want to be like. So that's how I spend time with the top people.
And how interesting that you talked about the top performer talking about the assistant protecting the time, right? And you were in the environment, you heard them talk, and he like called it out, like, if you don't have an assistant, you're not a top performer, right? It's about surrounding yourself, coming to classes like this or the panel, talking about what's working, what are people doing, staying on top, not hiding out, staying active and being part of the community.
Being formidable and hanging out with people who are formidable. Yeah.
Yep. Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, and never be the smartest person in the room, because then you're always learning and growing. And as far as the crystal ball, that what's going to happen in the next 6 months, it doesn't matter what you say, because none of us have control. So be positive, be encouraging and positive and optimistic, and I don't know,
Open and humble.
open and humble.
Because the market doesn't tell us if we're going to succeed. It shows us how we will succeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think coming, like one deal that we're doing right now, we were getting to a snag and he's like, I know I should have just called Chris Wendell and gotten it done. And I was like, okay, you lit my fire now. I was like, you don't mention those words around me. And then a week later, he's like, you did it. You really did it. And I think just sticking in with your people and saying, we'll get through this, because they're, especially when you're not getting the showings or things come up in inspection, just be there for them and listen to them. And that's what gets you more clients. Gets rid of Chris Wendell.
Never too soon. No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You guys have any questions on the screen? We good? Did you check the chats? Yep. Yeah, we're good. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.